Greetings and welcome back to the lab. Time for another project, and this one I hope I can do kind of quickly here. You may have seen in previous videos, unboxing and such, that I bought this with the intention of putting these batteries. I got one here. I got another one here. So let's see if I can get this to actually show up in frame. My apologies for the mess. I'm just trying to get a bunch of projects done. So I tested these out. 4,247 milliamp hours, 4,321 milliamp hours. This was originally rated as a 19 watt hour. So if you try and work that out at 3.7 volts, is that right? 3.75 volts. My apologies. I'll let you do the math. Basically, you're going to multiply the volts times the milliamps, and that'll give you the watts, watt hours. So let's. I'll put this up in post. We'll see how close we get to the actual 19 that are supposed to be here. These two were set up in series originally to give 7.5, 7.6 volts, if I remember right. And they were part of a laptop battery. I harvested them out. I think something went wrong with the electronics, or they just couldn't stay in balance. What I'm ultimately planning is I'm going to put them in here. I need to remove some stuff out of here, and let's just get started trying to figure out how to remove some of this stuff. I do see now I'm going to put the batteries to the side. I'm trying to be careful here because these things will pack a wallop if I'm not careful. So let's see if we can't figure out how to get this out. It looks like I need a small screwdriver. Now I do want to say, do not try this at home. This is just for entertainment, to see what happens. I am prepared to, I've got the, as Big Clive would say, the explosive containment pie dish. That's not a pie dish, it's a cookie tin. But he's got his, I've got mine. We'll see what happens. I haven't even tested this thing by sticking in an 18650, so I don't even know if this thing works. You know, that begs the question. Maybe I should go find a battery to put in here and see if it powers up at all. What I can do is I've got this battery here, but I'm going to need to connect across here or do it the other way. Push it over here and connect from here to here. It'd almost be easier. I'm trying to think how to do this. Okay. Random piece of hardware here, random wire. I don't want to pull a whole lot of current through it. My hope is that this will just simply connect and show, actually should show that this battery is dead. And it is not showing anything on this side. Oh, actually, now that I look at it, the LEDs are all up along this side, so if anything is going to happen, it should happen here. So let me go get a different battery, one that has some actual voltage in it. Alright, this is recently charged, so let's see. If I stick the negative in here, and hopefully I can hook up. Oh, this is really kind of dangerous, isn't it? Oh, now that I think of it, there's a power button on this thing, isn't there? Yep, there's the power button. Let's see. Not showing anything. I can see where I can catch this wire in the spring. And in case you're wondering, all of these springs are common and all of these contacts are common. So in theory, this should be full circuit. There we go. We got power. It does work. So that is good news. All right, I'm going to pull that out and take this battery out, put it away. Okay, so that does confirm that it is actually functional. I took out 2 screws. It doesn't seem to be working just yet. So I'm looking for a 3rd screw or... Okay, I think what's happening here is it's kind of keyed into the top here where all these connectors are. So let me just see if I can't get this apart. You know what? I'm just going to pause and I'll come back when I got it apart. Alright, it's not that much later. Power button fell out. Other than that, I got it out. So now let's see if I can't desolder these rails. Yep, that one's off. That one's off. Now I have rails if I need them for anything. Or just pieces of metal. Actually, these springs could come in really handy. So I will add those to stock. I must admit that right here I've got an inductor that does not look all that healthy, but it did function when we brought it up. So next step, I think, is going to be to get some wires prepared here before I try and attach them to the batteries. It does look like, yeah, the power button's just a little micro switch here. So let's see if we can't get that put together. And I think what I'm going to do is just sort of, not exactly cooking show style, but rather than bore you with all the laborious work of trying to put some wires together and what have you, I'm just going to go ahead and do it and come back when I'm done. Alright, on further evaluation, I've decided these wires are just too beefy. Keep in mind that we're talking about potentially pulling multiple amps through these wires, and that would heat up the wires. They would basically turn into heaters and burn through the case. That is the concern. But ultimately, it's only going to allow for 2 amps, and I think I can do 2 amps with about a 0.5 millimeter, if I remember right, and actually in a cylindrical wire instead of a trace on a circuit board, which is what I'm referring to. I think I'll be okay, probably with something kind of like the these wires here that I have, which are from DuPont wires. So I'm going to see what I can dig up and be able to put on here. Alright, this is where being semi-organized comes in handy. If I was more organized, that'd be even better. I'd have wires defined by gauge and all the rest of that. Instead, I have a box full of extra wire that I've collected over the years. And believe me, at this point, copper has gotten expensive. These are actual copper hookup wires that I got a long time ago and haven't really had an actual use for. So I'm going to try, let's see if we can't get a couple of these and strip them down. I don't know the exact gauge, but my hope is that these will strip reasonably easy and they'll be flexible enough that I can slip them into the case without too much hassle or worry about things just breaking off. So that's got that one. I'm going to do 3 more, 2 red and 2 black, and I'll be right back. Alright, I'm back a little bit early. I just wanted to show you. This is really old wire that I bought probably 30 to 40 years ago, if that gives you a little hint of my age. But what's interesting is, I mean, I'm getting older and my fingernails are not as strong, but I can actually use my fingernails to strip this wire. Don't need the mechanical strippers. Used to use my teeth. That wasn't a good idea. Kind of made a mess of my dental work. But there we go. Now I've got 2 black, 2 red. I'm going to put the 2 black together. Try to give them a little bit of a twist. Just for a mechanical advantage on that. And I can trim it down to size, which will probably... Actually, I'm going to use the pliers to help me twist them. Just standard needle nose pliers. Just trying to get that done, and then trim off a little bit so I don't have too much exposed. And try and get that soldered on now. I got B plus and B minus over here. Let's see if I can't get that soldered onto this pad. Actually, let me flow some fresh solder on there. Oh, that didn't look all that pretty, but should work. I want a good connection here, which means this is going to get hot. Ouch. It got hot. Need a better connection. I want to be really sure that this is good. So yeah, that gets a bit more than warm. That's got the black wires. Let's see about the red wires. So we can get these up and running. What I probably should have done, now that I think of it, is connect the batteries to these first and then solder it on, because the batteries are not at exactly the same charge. So there's a chance that when I connect the two batteries together, because I'm doing these in parallel, that when I connect them together that they are going to balance themselves. So I'm going to actually, despite all of that, desolder the negative. There we go. Actually, it'd be good to have these tinned anyway, so let's see if we can't add a little solder. Add a little more solder here. Try not to burn myself. All right, got that. Now the scary part is bringing in the batteries themselves and hooking them together. Now I'm going to keep this nearby in case something goes wrong, and I do not have my running shoes on. I hope I don't need them. So I'm going to hook up positive now. Fortunately on these batteries, it's actually in this label right here that positive is this side and negative is that side. There is also what appears to be a fuse right here. I don't know if that's going to be easy to see or not, but right there, and I'll try and zoom in post so you can see. But right there is what appears to be a fuse on the battery itself. So if something does go wrong, there is an additional protection. And that's a nice thing to have. So let's see if we can't get the positive connected. And if, oh, okay, I've got a little string of something holding these together. Good thing I discovered that. All right. Let's solder on. And also, it is preferable in most cases to weld instead of solder, because you're introducing heat to the battery, and that's a little bit scary. So that's positive. Let's see if we can't do negative. Oh, I hope that takes. Good mechanical connection. Yeah, it's bending the tab. That's positive. No pun intended. Now, the other thing I want to do is I actually want to create an air gap between these. So I'm going to get some foam pads and put them on. All right, we got foam pads. Generic dollar store foam pads, but these should be good enough to get something going here. I'm going to take one. I'm going to put about 4 of these. I don't know how much of a gap I really need. I want to create some gap, but I also want to create some cushioning so these don't flop around in the case too much. So I'm going to put another pad here. I don't want to obscure this label right here and this other writing, so it's going to be a little bit, I'll put it up here. This way, if I need to figure something out later, the adhesive doesn't obscure everything. Just trying to think ahead. Now I'm going to flip this over. The wire doesn't fall off, we're in good shape. I'm going to add a couple more. Now these I'm not going to peel the tape off of. Whoops, that one didn't seem like it stuck. It didn't stick. It's not sticky. Let's try a different one. That one's got some adhesive. Keep in mind, this is really just for adding a little bit of airflow between them, and because I have the room in the case. So that is the point of that. We'll get that on there. I think that's the first pad I had that didn't actually stick. So I'll just throw it away. These were not expensive. So let's get another battery. Mount it kind of on top. I have to figure out how to do this, but right now what I'm more interested in is just getting some airflow. Actually, now that I think of it, these I should probably peel the adhesive off so they can stick to the case, because it looks like these are going to be at the bottom of the stack. Well, this is all falling apart on me, but we'll get it. There we go. Alright, I am not going to worry about that right now. I'm not going to worry about peeling those off right now. What I want to do is flip this over, and you won't be able to see or hear or feel anything here. That's the downside of video. But I'm going to hook up the negative, and these batteries may heat up just a little bit as I do this. Okay, I feel a little heat there. Now the moment of truth as I try to hook up the positive side. I'm now connecting the two batteries together. Trying to do this without pulling it all apart. Remember, do not do this at home. I am not an expert. I'm just taking the chance. And if it all goes up in smoke, then you get the entertainment while I get to run. Well, right now it's technically connected, but I'm going to solder it on. And get a good flow. Ow. That hurts. Okay, now if one of these batteries heats up, no, they seem to be self-balancing pretty well. Still no heat. We're good there. Now I can stack them. And if I'm lucky, the wires won't come off while I'm doing all of this. And I got them running in the opposite directions so that they have much less chance of actually shorting out. Well, I take this off. Alright, just about got it. Do I want to stick it down yet? No, I don't think I do. If something goes wrong, I'll still have the shell. There's our negative. There's our positive. I'm going to figure out how I'm going to do this. Okay, gotta flip the whole thing. Oh, nuts. I took that off. Put it on top of here. How appropriate. While I attempt to solder while holding it in the air. I'm going to move the positive out of the way. Try and get the negative first. Okay, that is crossing over some what could have been components. That's not the most comforting thing. Let me see if I can bend the wire a little bit so it doesn't... The last thing I want is to short something out on a circuit board and lose the whole project because of it. And yep, okay, we seem to be in good shape so far. Nothing has exploded yet. That seems to be okay. Let's see if I can't get this together. There are times I wish I was Big Clive. Z is really much better at the whole three-fingered, three-handed, whatever you want to call it thing. Ow. Ow, that got hot. And it's not the batteries heating up. Maybe I can flow some more solder on here. It's probably going to ping right back off. Yep. But I want to get some solder on there. Just make sure I can get a good connection. So it's going to get hot again. Ow. Alright, I've pretty well demonstrated that I can hook it up without worrying as much about this. This will give me a little bit of leverage putting it down on the mat. And we're in. Yow, that's warm. Alright, where's that switch? Let's see if we can't turn this puppy on. We got all four. Now that should be like a mode switch, right? If I hold it for a long... There it goes. Just turned on the lights. So there's my sort of flashlight out of this. And if I hold it for a long time, off it goes. Alright, let's get this puppy mounted. It's not heating up. That's a really good sign. We're going to get this in here, and I'll be back in a moment once it's all mounted. Alright, remember I said I didn't want the wires to snap off? One of them came off. So, let's figure out which one. Okay, it looks like it was this side. But now I've got a battery mounted in the bottom. So I'm going to have to try to solder from the top. And anytime I'm soldering onto this, I just get nervous. Because of the power that these batteries contain, the energy. Alright, let's try again. Come in from the other side where I can actually see what I'm doing. Keep the dish nearby. Although right now it's connected. That seems to be good. Alright, back to trying to squeeze it all back in. Okay, that took a little bit of effort, but we got it all together. Now the next thing I want to do is pad it out with more of these foam pads so that I can use them. I'm going to put them here so they'll pad up to this point here, and I won't have my batteries sliding around. Then I will have something close to a 9 amp hour battery pack. And who knows how long that'll take to charge. The two batteries under test took probably about 20 hours each, but that's because I was being conservative with the charge current. Didn't want to charge them too hard, and it also gives me a more accurate reading, although in the end they're inside the power bank. Nobody's ever going to know what that reading would have been. So pull that off. There we go. We'll get another one there. We should be... No, I think we can go up one more level. So, we're almost there. I'm going to have to go out and buy more of these. They don't come in handy all that often, but when they do come in handy, they do come in handy. Alright, now if I remember right, this should snap back together, but let's give her a quick test. Yeah, we've got power there. I'll just pull this off so you can see. Power there. And if I hold it, we get a flashlight. If I hold it again, off it goes. Let's find something to plug into it. Make sure that part of it works. Okay, found a couple of old displays that I actually set up on perf board, and they've got their own little... I basically got an adapter board or breakout board and managed to solder it to the perf board and just wired it up to some LEDs for a display. So let's see. Got to put it in the right way. Yep, it's lit up, and it lit this up here too. Let's give it a few seconds and see if some of these that I created were actually really low current draw. So we'll see if the battery bank shuts off. This is another little test of things. Also, I should mention I contacted the seller because when I ordered this bank, the idea was to get one with the with an LCD display, and I looked at the original listing as well as they revised the listing, and both of them still say in the text description that they have an LCD display. So there was something wrong there. I'm not going to be mean about it. I'm not going to say who it was. I did send them a note and said, you know, your listing is basically, I bought the thing for the LCD display, and that's what your listing says, yet what I received was different. How would you like to handle this? And we'll see what they decide to do, if they want to refund some money, or refund all my money, or send me the actual power bank that I was looking for, which, if that comes, then I'll also have another one of these that I can put actual 18650s into. So this is not a total failure. It's something I wanted to do. I've been trying to figure out what to do with those batteries. I'm quite happy with that. Let me pull this one out. We'll put a different display in there. This one may actually be mounted the other way. Yep. Okay, so we know that one works. And this one should work. You can get a little bit tricky doing this all on camera. There we go. Okay, so we got two perfectly good USB-B outputs. It's got USB-C. Not sure if that's an input. Does it say? It doesn't say. It does say in here. So this is a micro USB, so I can charge this thing up. But I think we're good to go, so I'm going to try and snap this thing together. Let's make sure that everything's out of the way for me to snap it together. I did, unfortunately, when I was trying to take it apart, knock off one of the little tabs. You can see a little white spot there. But I've still got 5 of the 6. That should be good. And the rest of them should fit in there pretty easily. And then I try not to worry about it from that point on, and I have myself a fairly high capacity battery bank made from an old laptop battery, complete with flashlight. I'm a happy camper. This project worked. It didn't take 15 episodes. We got it done. Thank you so much for sticking around and watching.